The 80 has returned home. Stay tuned to find out where it's been and what's been happening. So, if you follow me on Instagram, you'll have seen that the 80's been missing pretty much now for probably, I don't know, it's got to be coming up to 3 or 4 weeks. It's been at West Coast Off-Road Centre and has been there now for, I think it has literally been a month and a half. We've obviously been in some weird lockdown in Wales and I've not been able to get it, but now it's home. A couple of you guys messaged me on Instagram, Facebook asking what's going on, is it still for sale, what's it having done? Yes, she is still for sale. I have still seen and still left a deposit on something that I really want, but I can't get it until my 80 sells. But I also didn't want to sell the 80 in the condition that it was in. So it's been at West Coast having some work done. So I guess the only thing we can do is take a look. It's had the works.
Yeah, so first of all we pull them around, get them up in the air, give them a steam clean off, get rid of all the loose mud, debris, everything else. Let that dry off. Goes in the workshop. If need be, we'll have all the heating on. Want to get all the moisture out of it. And then once all that's dry, we'll go over the car. Really depends on the car. It can be good and bad, and we'll use multiple of different tools: needle guns, wire wheels, hand scrapers, everything. All depends on each vehicle, but we have a few different tools for doing it. That's all providing the car's in one piece. We can strip them, body off chassis and sandblast them. That's a completely different job again, and a lot more in depth.
Okay, so like Paul's just said, the whole underside of the car is going to get cleaned down. Now the technique they're using here is just simply jet washing and making sure that they get everywhere. This pretty much is the start point for any wax oiling. They've even hired some help. So once the whole truck has been washed down, all the mud and the muck and the grime and everything has been removed from the truck underneath, it's time to let the whole thing dry out. And I mean dry out. Put the heating on, just make sure that the whole truck, chassis, inside the rails is all perfectly dry before moving on to the next step. As you can see, they're even going to take the suspension off the 80 so that, well, nothing gets affected. They then start to needle gun. So needle gunning is really effective to get all the old wax oil off, as you can see here. Alright, so we're almost at the point now where the whole underside of the AT is ready to be painted. But obviously, we've got to protect the body. So let's hand over to Paul to find out how they're going to do that.
Preparation to keep the car clean is we mask, the whole body gets completely bagged up from the sills and front balance and rear bumper upwards, completely cover that in bags, and any vulnerable parts underneath, exhausts, brake lines, etc., everything gets all taped and masked underneath, or removed. If it's got, like this one had some quite nice fancy shocks on it, we just remove them completely so they don't get painted over.
Now I'm pretty stoked to have the truck all bagged up and looking ready, but obviously underneath is a completely different story. The truck has come from Scotland, it's had wax oiling in the past and it has been looked after, but obviously it's going to happen, it's going to need refreshing quite a lot. So let's speak to Paul and see what products we're going to be putting on the AT today.
On this car we've used a product, it's an epoxy 2-pack paint, and that's sold by a company called Rustbuster, and we've used a lot of different products over the years. That one we've settled with. We also, on top of that, we've used wax, cavity wax in all the cavities, and in certain areas on the chassis behind the body mounts, anywhere the paint just won't creep in. We've used all that just to give it an extra level of protection. Likewise on the axles. There is different ways, it all depends on budget, what people want from it, but we've found for a vehicle like this is getting used off-road, being worked on, the epoxy gives a nice dry finish, very, very tough as well. And yeah, like I said, there's lots of different ways, but this is the one we've settled on, we're really happy with at the moment.
Now it was cool to see this going on and seeing how the truck changes, but I was keen to find out how often I should obviously now get this done, because I want to protect this vehicle as best as I can.
It all really varies on the vehicle. If it's in really good condition, obviously it's not used too much off-road, it's going to last a lot longer. At the moment we're having cars back a good few years down the line, 3-4 years so far, that have been used and steam cleaned. They're still showing really good levels of protection, and it really does just vary on how the car's cared for before and after. If it's a rough car, obviously there's a lot more ingrained in-depth rust on there, then it will shorten the lifespan a little bit. Cost is a tough one. It depends, especially on an older car. It really depends on the condition of the car now. So we can give an idea of cost per customer, and really we like to see it before we actually give a firm cost. Especially nowadays, some of these cars are 20-30 years old.
So from needle gunning to grinding to drying to wiping, this is essentially the finished product that we'd hoped for. The whole truck has been undersealed, inside and outside the chassis. All the floor's been done. Obviously, I've driven this home, so there's a little bit of mud in there now, or grit from the road. But have a look at the difference between these clips. I'll tell you, folks, I could not be happier. The rust, or the surface rust underneath here, was getting pretty bad. But now, wow, she's like a whole new truck.
The main benefits and reasons for doing this as well is people are now investing a lot of money in older cars. So you don't want to pour all this money into a car and one, it looks scruffy underneath, and two, just keeps deteriorating. So the name of the game is to not necessarily stop it, but you really want to slow any existing corrosion there, or if it's a really good car or new, you want to stop it in its tracks really. It helps keep the value of the car, and it's just nicer to work on as well.
Alright guys, well, that's it for this week, or at least for now. I am planning on getting the 80 out. I'm going to take some bits off it, so you will probably end up seeing some stuff for sale soon. Just need to make way for the next or the new project, but I will be bringing out some other videos because I will be getting out in the 80 before she goes. So stay tuned. Thanks for watching. Like, share, and of course subscribe. It is much appreciated, and I'll see you all next time.